Navigating large SPSS datasets. CCHS2007, here we come. Large datasets can be overwhelming to look at. However, with a few tips, you can get a feel for the dataset before proceeding with data analysis. Here are a few things to look for. 1. Background. And by that, I don't mean the background that you're looking at, this spreadsheet. The background that I'm referring to has to do with who created the dataset, for what purpose, and how was the data collected. The Canadian Community Health Survey, the CCHS, is conducted every 5 or 6 years, and Stats Canada is collecting data by survey from Canadians, from a random sample of Canadians, about their health. If we look at the data view here, we can see they've collected data, and I'm going to scroll right to the bottom here, from over 131,000 people. That is a huge data set. And if we look at the top, here are the variables, then what we see is we see 1,000 variables, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of variables. The data is collected by survey, which gives you some sense that the data is not going to be as precise, perhaps, as it would be if the data was collected by measurement. And in many cases, you'll see a lot of missing data. And that's something I want to make sure we look at today, because that's what makes part of this confusing, data set confusing. Before we do that, though, what I want to mention is that, well, just to remind you, is that you have a data view and a variable view. If you just open up the data set and you see you're in the data view, that could be very overwhelming and confusing. Don't worry about it. Just click over to variable view and you'll start getting a list of the variable names and descriptors of the variables under label. I'm going to expand that out so I can read the whole thing. But let's get back to data view here. Another part of variable view that's confusing is depending on what view you end up seeing, you may see labels or you may see numbers. Because you see numbers, it doesn't mean the variables are measurement in nature. They may be categorical variables, and one of the clues to that is if you click this, or under view, go to value labels, off and on. So now we're viewing the value labels, so we can see if it's yeses and nos, then it's clearly a categorical variable. And then we have other labels here that indicate that these variables, these first series of variables, are categorical in nature. Now, where do we see that in the variable view? We see that well, first of all, the label will be a clue, right? Frequency, trouble of sleeping, that's already a hint that it's a categorical variable. And then we can also see that under values. So frequency, trouble, sleeping, we can see none of the time, little of the time, some of the time, most of the time. So that's clearly a categorical variable, not just categorical, it's an ordinal variable. Okay. Interestingly, some of you use this last column as an indicator of the data type. In this case, it's incorrect because it's not a nominal variable, it's actually an ordinal variable. Okay. What you'll also see is that a list of categories. So let's look at yes and no. So this is work that job. Yes, no. Okay, those are 2 categories. But there's other categories listed here. Not applicable, don't know, refusal, not stated. Those are the categories that are listed that will be counted as missing. And how do we know that? Because under the missing column, 6 to 9, corresponding to 6, 7, 8, 9 are the ones that are considered missing. And that can be set here just the same as you set the value labels. Thus, Categorical variables, how many categories? Well, in this case, there's just 2 valid categories and 4 invalid categories. In this case, self-perceived work stress, there are not at all, not very, a bit, quite a bit, extremely. So we have 5 valid categories, and in the same way, we have 4 non-valid categories. Moving further along, we have, let's look for a variable that is not categorical. So all of these you can see here are categorical. Even something with a, typically, when you have high numbers for missing, that will be an indication that it's a measurement variable. So we keep scrolling along here, and here we go. Weight, BMI. Okay, so let's look at weight, and let's see how the values are labeled. Well, the only labels that we have here are the missing. Okay, so missing. All right, so this is going to be a measurement variable, and sure enough, if we look at it, and one way to get to it, which is this number 77, here it is. And so you can see here that these numbers are all, they don't have any labels. The only labels are the missing values. And the same thing for BMI, we can see that that's a... If you're looking for a specific variable, you may want to order. So let's say you're looking for a categorical variable. And you want to see which is a categorical variable, or you want to have these all yeses and nos put together, sorted together, and then these separately, because you may be looking for specific types of variables. Don't forget you have a sort function, just like with every spreadsheet. So we can take sort variables, and we can sort it by label, so by these names. So that'll give you one sort. Okay. And so you can look for particular variables that you're interested in. So all the frequency variables are together and so on. You can also sort by values. And in this case, you'll have all the yeses and nos together and all the ones with maybe more categories together as well. And this nicely sorts out all the measurement variables separately. So this gives you a little bit of a look into the CCHS2007 data set. It also gives you a taste for how to make sense of the variables that are there. I'll leave you to do more exploration on your own. Thank you.